Hey guys, we just went through the costs for your staff and the related costs. Some of the expenses which haven't been calculated were your support costs, your payment costs, and your tech costs. We're going to go through these now, and these are all items which will either feed into your staff cost or directly into your P&L sheets. So, as usual, there's a little guide. You can see what links are linked up. And then we have a summary of your costs. Now, what are our costs we're going to get through? So for customer support costs, we have customer care, customer success, and internal engineering. For our other costs, we've got payment, servers, and email. And then we can see the additional staff, which will be fed into the staff sheet for your customer care, success, and internal engineering staff. Now let's break into these step by step. We'll start with the customer support costs. Okay, now we can see our customer care, our customer success, and our internal engineering blocks. They're structured up pretty much with the same logic, but let's get through each block individually. Now, to do your customer care, there are only 7 numbers you need to fill in. So the way this maps out is, you say, for customer care, this will be dealing with general email, phone questions from all your customer base. So we see here percentage of total customers requiring support for Basic, Premium, Pro. So we're saying here 1% of all Basic people will annoy you with a question once a month. But your Pro guys will reach out 1.5%. And if you want to change those, just make them more annoying or less annoying. Obviously, if you're something like Glossybox or Budgebox, put that up at something like 9%. Now, once we know how many or what percentage of your customers will be reaching out, you want to know how long does it take your customer service agents or happiness heroes, whatever you want to call them, to service those customers. So we look at this as a time to service customers in minutes. So 10, 15, 20 minutes, assuming that pro people will want more time, etc. Now, I've hidden these up here, but we have optimizations. So let's say you introduce some new software and it gets better, so your time spent dealing with customers goes down. So you can optimize all these numbers if you want to and have a reason to, or have a story that you want to tell around those. Now, once we know how long it takes to deal with customers and how many customers will be reaching out, how much time does each agent have to deal with them? So how many focused hours a day do they work? And I'm not talking stuck in PowerPoint presentation meetings with the head of customer care. I mean, on the email, on the phone, actually working, okay? I've assumed here 6 hours a day. It could be less, it could be more, up to you. And that's it. Those are all assumptions you need to type in to actually forecast your customer care. So how many people or what percentage of people will be reaching out? How long does it take to serve them? And how many hours a day do your staff work? So we'll figure out the number of working days per month, times it by hours, and then this will tell us how many minutes a month one customer care person has to answer questions. This is linked to your staff sheet and tells you your actual salary cost for each of these people. So it's $3,300 a month. Now, we divide these, or we multiply them out, and we know how much our basic customer and pro people will be requiring customer care in terms of minutes. And that's 608. So if we divide the number of minutes your customer care people have divided by the total number of minutes required, we only need 1 staff. But at some point, see here, that your number of customer requests in terms of minutes is 9,000, but it takes you 7,200 for each person. So to round that up, you'll need 2 people to actually be able to respond to all those requests each month. Now, times that by your salaries, and you know what the amount of salaries you're going to have to pay for those 2 people. And dividing these out, we know what your actual cost per customer will be. So we can look at this and we can see it's been taken off the total number of customers, I-19. So this starts at fairly high and over time will go down, or we can look at annual numbers and see it's costing us relatively consistently over time. There will be some jumps when you hire new people. So we'll see that we got down at 28, but it jumped up because we don't have proper capacity utilization of your agents. So that's your customer care or customer support care people. Now for customer success, same principle, except this is based on the percentage of new customers requiring support, because it's going to be the new guys who will need help being onboarded. Now, what percentage of people will need that? We'll see maybe pro people need a lot more. So it's 5%, but basic people won't get it or don't use it. How long does it take to service each customer? And how many hours a day do your customer success staff work? Same assumptions go down. We know how many staff we need, what the cost is, and what the average cost per customer is. And we see that's going down quite a lot over time. Internal engineering, which is providing dev support for customers' success. Exactly the same calculation. New customers requiring support by package. How much time it takes for them to service a customer. How many hours they work. And then we know the number of people, the cost, and the actual cost then for your customer. Done. Let's deal with the payment cost now. So to make life simple for you, I've assumed that there's 4 different manners that you can accept payments. These are credit card, PayPal, bank transfer, and payment on delivery, which potentially works for maybe countries in Asia. I don't know any SaaS companies that pay payment delivery, but just to make life easier, all the variables have been put in there so you don't have to do any modeling. So I assume this is the default credit card, so it'll be 100% unless you type in numbers to the other areas. All right, if you're paying a portion by PayPal, 20%. If you're doing bank transfers, we're going to add some in, okay? Then for each one of these, we have credit card, PayPal, bank transfer, and payment delivery, and then total costs. So same format for every single one. Do you pay a monthly cost for that service? So for credit cards, which is still sometimes living in the Stone Age, you may have to pay a monthly fee of say $100 or something. So type that in. You're paying a transaction fee, a variable amount. It's 2.5% on the total volume spent. And sometimes you have to pay a fixed fee per transaction in addition to that variable transaction fee that you paid. These all add up and it tells you total cost. Same thing for PayPal, same thing for bank transfer, same thing for payment on delivery. These all just add up and give you the cost and then the average cost per customer. Now we're getting to the last one, our tech expenses. So before, we went and dealt with your pricing sheet. And in there, we made assumptions on what API or order volume we thought our customers were going to be doing. I told you this would be impacting on hosting costs. Well, that impact is now coming to roost. Let's get into it. So here, we assume a sort of variable and a fixed calculation for your hosting costs. So dealing with the fixed part, we'll assume that we're getting visitors to our site. Now, how many visitors per server can we handle? You make this up, right? Say 10,000 people per server. What does your base cost per server? Say $1,000. And then what is the cost for additional ones? Now you can kind of make this work for AWS, assuming you're spinning up servers or something, how many servers you need. That'll give you your total traffic cost here. Then we've got our variable part here. And we're saying, well, how many API calls are we getting in? Which is coming from your pricing sheet. And this is based on your customers using it. And we're going to charge a certain amount per order or for APIs of 0.1 cents per API. Times that by API calls and it'll tell you what the total cost for APIs are. Add these two up and we're now spending $1,000 a month or 22,000 a year, 60,000, 100,000. Depending on your business, you'll be spending a lot more or significantly less. This is really important. So fiddle with these how you like, restructure it if it makes more sense. But I've tried to make this easy for you just to populate and have some sort of a logical approach to doing that. Now, the final thing we're going to deal with is email costs. These can be different depending if you're going to be using services like Intercom and maybe not sending lots of emails. But, you know, marketing through email is a great channel and some people will be using it a lot more than others. So if this is not important, don't stress out too much and getting the assumptions perfectly. If you are sending a lot of emails, then spend more time thinking about this. So for our marketing sheets, we calculate how many newsletters, emails we'll actually be sending out. And that's going to be like our proxy for the number of customers we'll be dealing with. And so assume for each customer, we want to apply a multiple of that. So on average, how many emails for each customer we'll be sending out? I've picked, say, 12 to bulk up that number, assuming there's all sorts of different emails you might be sending people. Okay. Now, what is the base cost for your email service? If you're not sending very many emails out, maybe using MailChimp for free or MailChimp on a $25 package or Constant Contact or something, what is the amount per month that you'll be spending for that service as a base cost? And through that service, you may or may not have to pay through emails. If you are, what is the cost per email that you will be charged at below scale and at scale? So we've defined scale as 2.5 million emails a month. And at that rate, we'll get a sort of 50% discount on our email cost. Play with these numbers depending on what suits to you. I'm sure the logic is relatively simple here. All it is doing is figuring out how much emails are costing us. And so, as you can see here, our base cost is basically everything. So it's $6,000 a month. So I'm assuming the additional marginal increase in cost is $783 for email. So under this business model assumption, email is not that important. If it is for you, spend more time thinking about it. There we go. So we've just calculated our server costs, our email costs, all our payment costs, and our support staff, which are going to go into COGS. Cool.